Mourners are coming together to honor the victims from Tuesday's attacks. I'm Kenneth Craig in Brussels with the latest on the investigation coming up.
A Southern Kentucky constable charged in a man's shooting death goes before a judge while the victim's fiancé looks on.
Well, the next few days really don't look all that bad, and then we look toward midweek. Midweek is when the rain moves on in, and you can see it is widespread. That's really our focus of the forecast. We're going to talk about that coming up.
This is WKYT News at Noon.
Good afternoon from WKYT News. I'm Bill Bryant.
And I'm Barbara Bailey. The White House says President Obama called to offer his condolences to the parents of a Lexington woman killed in last week's terror attacks in Belgium.
Stephanie Schultz and her husband Justin were dropping her mother off at the Brussels airport when those two bombs went off. WKYT's Michelle Chamberlain is at our live desk with reaction from Stephanie's family. And that's our top story at noon. Michelle?
Yeah, the news of Lexington native Stephanie Schultz and her husband Justin being among those killed in the Brussels terrorist attacks was heartbreaking news across Kentucky. It was an agonizing few days as family members waited to hear from the couple or to receive news of their whereabouts. Officials confirmed to the family on Saturday that Stephanie and Justin were killed in the attacks. Stephanie's aunt told WKYT that the family is obviously devastated but is ready to begin the healing process and share the good memories of a pair she calls the perfect couple.
She loved the idea of going to Brussels and getting to know that part of the world. I mean, they'd been running with the bulls, and they'd stayed in an ice hotel, and they had been to the Vatican, and I mean, they had done all of those things. They were living the dream that a lot of us wish we had done when we were that age.
Now, Stephanie's aunt said the couple spent their weekends traveling throughout Europe after moving to Belgium a year and a half ago for a 3-year work program. At the live desk, Michelle Chamberlain, WKYT.
Well, it's comforting to know that they did so much in their young lives. We understand it could be some time before Stephanie and Justin's bodies are returned to their families, and their funeral services will not be planned until then.
Meanwhile, at least 3 more people are facing terrorism charges after a weekend of raids and arrests in Belgium and other European countries. Last week's bombings at the Brussels airport and a metro station killed at least 35 people, including 4 Americans. Our Kenneth Craig continues our top story team coverage with the latest on the investigation.
Belgian police are asking the public for more information about this man, seen walking with 2 suicide bombers just before the blasts at Brussels airport last Tuesday. He had been identified as Faisal C., who was arrested on a terror charge, but after an investigation, prosecutors released him today without charges. Weekend raids netted several more arrests. 4 men were picked up in the Netherlands in connection to new bombing plots in France. Italian police detained a man of Algerian origin for allegedly being part of a forging ring that provided false documents to the terrorist cell being linked to the attacks in France and Belgium. It is still a time of mourning here in Brussels as hundreds attend an afternoon service here at the city's largest cathedral.
It shows, stand together.
Eva Mason is visiting from England. She and her husband stopped to light a candle and to pray just before today's vigil.
It is sad, very sad, but we're still here. We've still come, and we've still come to look at this beautiful city.
A group of Muslims is also mourning. They gathered in front of the metro station damaged in the attack. The group carried balloons and Belgian flags to show solidarity with the victims. Kenneth Craig, CBS News, Brussels, Belgium.
Tomorrow, 800 staff members at Brussels airport will test new security measures for passenger check-in. The Belgian government must approve the new system before the airport can resume handling passenger traffic.
Well, the up and down weather of a Kentucky spring is continuing to start in this new work week. After a beautiful Easter weekend, the colder air has returned. So how long before we see a warm-up? WKYT meteorologist Micah Harris is live now with that.
Well, you know how it goes this time of year. We go up and down, and this weekend was fantastic. It was a nice switch off. Having a really nice weekend and then getting an ugly start to the work week. But I'm okay with that. I think a lot of you were too. Winds coming in from the north and northwest. Cloud cover overhead. I do want to show you this if you work your way back toward 65. 65, you're getting some bits and pieces of breaks in the clouds. And I expect that to continue as we go throughout the rest of the afternoon. Cloudy skies now, and we'll still have a mixture of sun and clouds throughout the rest of the day, but we will start to get some peaks of sunshine, especially west of I-75, west of Lexington. I expect that to travel over 75 in toward late afternoon, but east and southeast is going to be hard pressed to actually get those 50s in the forecast. Nonetheless, still upper 40s, lower 50s are expected. Much cooler conditions today and tomorrow, but then we rise right back up as we head toward your midweek, and that's the focus of the forecast, the ups and downs, and with that comes a little rain. And I'll show you all that coming up in a few minutes.
Micah, thank you. A constable charged in a deadly shooting in southern Kentucky was back in court this morning. Bobby Smith is accused of gunning down Brandon Stanley inside a Laurel County store earlier this month. He's charged with second-degree manslaughter. WKYT's Phil Pendleton is at the Laurel County Courthouse now with the very latest on the case. Phil?
It was a very quick court appearance for Bobby Joe Smith, a Laurel County constable facing a charge of second-degree manslaughter. He was scheduled this morning for a pretrial hearing, but that was put off after he had pleaded already not guilty to that charge about 2 weeks ago when he was indicted. Now, the shooting happened back on March the 4th at the A&B Quick Stop in East Bernstadt. Police said that Smith, who is serving his first term as a constable in Laurel County, was serving a warrant on Stanley inside that store when Stanley was shot twice, both times in the upper chest area. He was pronounced dead at the scene. Today's hearing was actually put off until April 25th because Smith's attorney says they are still waiting on lab work and toxicology results from the victim. That attorney also put off making any comment on the case until the April hearing. Smith was joined in the courtroom by a lot of family and friends and supporters. Also in the courtroom was the shooting victim's fiancée. She says the lack of information on exactly what happened the night Stanley died is troubling.
There was a lot going through my mind, a lot. How he could actually sit there with no emotion to his face. All of his family was there supporting him for something he should be in jail for.
Smith was never arrested and remains free after posting a $50,000 fully secured bond. In Laurel County, Phil Pendleton, WKYT.
Phil, thank you. And Stanley's fiancée tells us that she and her family were not allowed to leave the courtroom until Smith and his family had exited the courthouse building.
In Frankfort here at midday, lawmakers from both the Kentucky Senate and House are meeting again at the state capitol. They're trying to hammer out a two-year, $21 billion budget deal. The sticking point is $650 million in cuts proposed by Governor Matt Bevin. The House wants to remove many of those, especially the ones to higher education. The two sides are working under a tight deadline. Both chambers hope to have a deal by the middle of this week. Republican Senator Rand Paul of Kentucky is holding town hall meetings in 9 eastern Kentucky counties today and tomorrow. Paul will hold a town hall in Rowan County at Morehead State University in just a few minutes at 12:15. He'll then go on to Morgan County for a town hall at 2 o'clock this afternoon in West Liberty. The senator will also be visiting Boyd, Carter, Magoffin, Floyd, Breathitt, Harlan, and Whitley counties over the next couple of days. All of the events are open to the public. A Green Bay Packers star and former Kentucky Wildcat player Randall Cobb is back on campus today.
Cobb will talk about his success as an athlete, both collegiately and professionally, as well as his potential future in acting. That's tonight at the Singletary Center for the Arts. He'll speak at 8 o'clock. Doors open at 7:15. Tickets can be purchased at the Singletary Center ticket office. You don't want to miss it.
Right. He was a great player here and certainly for the Green Bay. Well, the presidential candidates are getting a brief break before the race to the White House heads to Wisconsin. We'll have the latest from the campaign trail coming up on Kentucky's #1 Midday News.
Also ahead, it was billed as the battle of the century, and it definitely lived up to the hype at the box office. Find out how much Batman vs. Superman made in its opening weekend. Next on WKYT.
While the governor's proposed budget would allow the state to spend millions to bring in new attorneys, hundreds of court workers could lose their jobs under proposed cuts. Concerns in Kentucky courts tonight at 6 on WKYT.
Get weather plus traffic with a WKYT weather app. Have the Defender radar network in the palm of your hand while checking your driving conditions for your commute on the same screen. Weather plus traffic on the WKYT weather app.
Every year I operate thousands of hours. I'm turned on and off thousands of times. I keep you cool and I keep you warm. I have the best 10-year no-hassle replacement warranty around. No worries, no questions, no hassle. I am Comfort Maker. Go to comfortmaker.com today.
For one weekend only, the Lexington Center is transformed into the biggest home and gardening event of the year, the Central Kentucky Home and Garden Show.
Find contractors, remodelers, kitchen and bath, flooring, landscaping and outdoor living. Discover the latest inventions and smart products in the new product zone. Learn painting tips and tricks from Brian Santos, the Wall Wizard, and meet Jeff Lewis, interior designer and star of Bravo's hit TV show, Flipping Out.
Find it all at one amazing show, the Central Kentucky Home and Garden Show.
Nursing home abuse happens daily. Loved ones need protection. If you or someone you love has experienced nursing home abuse, call 800-800-4600.
EKU Center for the Arts presents opera star Kathleen Battle performing Underground Railroad, A Spiritual Journey, April 16th, featuring renowned pianist Joel Martin and the American Spiritual Ensemble. For tickets, visit EKUcenter.com.
Clients come into the office. The government has said, no, I don't believe you. You're not disabled.
The major problem with Social Security disability is that most people who sign up are denied at the initial level. If your claim's denied, don't give up. Call us immediately. We'll appeal your case.
We can do an effective job of representing you that will get you the benefits that you deserve.
Call Morgan, Collins, and Yeast, 1-800-55-WILDCAT.
Have something that needs investigating? Email us or call the WKYT Investigates tip line.
When I needed a new furnace, I did my research, found out that Comfort Heating and Air had the highest reviews on Google and Angie's List. So I went with Comfort Maker's 10-year no-hassle warranty. Do what I did, call the Comfort Man today.
Welcome back to WKYT News at noon. The Republican race for the White House continues to get ugly. Frontrunner Donald Trump is now threatening a lawsuit over Louisiana's decision to allocate more delegates to Texas Senator Ted Cruz despite his narrow win there. On the Democratic side, Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders is hoping that weekend caucus victories in Washington, Alaska, and Hawaii will give him momentum in the uphill race against Hillary Clinton. Next up, the Wisconsin primary scheduled for April 5th.
President Obama's Supreme Court nominee is getting his first face-to-face meeting this week with a Republican member of the Senate. Illinois Senator Mark Kirk will sit down with Judge Merrick Garland tomorrow. President Obama nominated Garland to fill the vacancy left after the death of Justice Antonin Scalia. Most GOP senators, including Majority Leader Mitch McConnell of Kentucky, have been refusing to schedule confirmation hearings or meetings with him. Kirk and two other senators have recently called on Republican leaders to hold a vote on Garland.
Well, Fidel Castro is now responding to President Obama's historic trip to Cuba. Castro wrote a 1,500-word letter in state media recounting the history of U.S. aggression against Cuba by saying, quote, "We don't need the empire to give us any presents." President Obama did not meet with Fidel Castro during his visit, but he did talk several times with his brother, Raul Castro, who is the current president of the island nation. Thousands of children are at the White House this midday for the annual Easter egg roll.
Always have a lot of fun. About 250 of those children will also join First Lady Michelle Obama for the Fun Run, which is meant to highlight her Let's Move initiative, which focuses on reducing childhood obesity. The event also includes musical performances, tips from professional athletes, cooking demonstrations, and yoga. The White House Easter egg roll has been an American tradition since 1878, started by President Rutherford B. Hayes and his wife, Lucy. Well, Batman vs. Superman: Dawn of Justice shrugged off lousy reviews to open with the 6th best weekend opening in history. The Warner Brothers Superhero Showdown took the top spot, bringing in $170 million in North America, making it the biggest weekend opening of the year. And it made even more overseas, earning $254 million. And that's also the largest March opening of all time and the biggest debut weekend for a superhero film.
If the interchange at Versailles Road and New Circle Road is in your travel plans, you may experience some delays. I'll have the details coming up.
Cloudy skies out there the rest of the afternoon. Will we be seeing any sunshine the rest of the day? I'm going to go over that, and also 70s return back in the forecast coming up.
Stay connected to the news that matters to you. WKYT.
If you've been injured in an automobile accident and have legal questions, visit forthepeople.com to get answers to your questions. Morgan & Morgan, for the people.
On Tuesday, I buried my dentures under 23 tons of cement. And I really freaked out because I needed my mouth for a very important event. So I called Aspen Dental, got in right away, and they made my new choppers in just a few days. And thanks to that service, I'm happy to say I ate the most hot dogs in history today.
With dentures starting at just $3.99 and ready in days, not weeks. Dentistry's never been easier. Call 1-800-ASPEN-DENTAL.
Kentucky Lottery's Keno, the exciting way to have fun every 5 minutes.
Fueling imagination.
Funding education.
Your story began in an optimistic America, an America that believed in God-given liberty, opportunity, and in you. For 50 years, you and your family worked, saved, and sacrificed to provide security for those golden years. And when you arrived, you found your plans threatened by an America laboring under roller coaster markets, rising taxes, and looming healthcare crisis. But your story can't end with a retreat or defeat. Family Wealth Group was created for retirees to bring back hope, clarity, and optimism for a secure retirement and an abundant legacy for generations to come. We're determined to help you reach your financial goals with less risk and more certainty. Together, let's make sure your story ends well. Because success isn't how much you make, it's how much you keep.
I love Kentucky because it's my home. It's where I was born and raised, and it's me.
The people of Kentucky are proud to be Kentuckians, proud of the heritage, proud of the tradition, and I share that pride.
Whether they're single moms, elderly couples, working families, those are the kind of people that we help.
At the end of the day, helping Kentucky is what it's all about. If someone needs help or one of their loved ones needs help, all they have to do is give us a call.
Hare Wynn, lawyers helping people. 859-780-3333.
Neil Huffman Honda of Frankfort. Visit our website at huffmanhondafrankfurt.com/TV.
Now, your zone-by-zone forecast with meteorologist Micah Harris.
It's just one of those days, cloudy day overhead as that rain moved through late last night, early this morning. And you know as well as I do, when that happens, what happens is these low-pressure systems track to the north of us. We get the wraparound moisture, and boom, we're left with this. But typically during the afternoon, often in the evening hours, what happens? You start to get those clouds to break up. And I do believe we'll start to see that. We'll see at least some sunshine peek through as we go throughout the rest of the day. We're sitting there in the mid to upper 40s. We'll get roughly around 50 degrees as we track over toward the afternoon hours. Some of us will be there in the lower 50s, especially back west. That's where we're going to be seeing anywhere from Lexington back west. That's where we'll see the better opportunity for some sunshine. Eastern Kentucky, southeastern Kentucky, you guys, yeah, it's mainly going to be cloudy the rest of the day. Off into the evening, we'll start to get some peaks here and there. But other than that, it's going to be very cool, upper 40s, lower 50s. Then we go off into the evening, another chilly evening, heading out to eat at 48 degrees. You go through the day, go overnight and into tomorrow morning. Patchy frost in the forecast. There is that possibility tomorrow morning, especially if these clouds break up over in eastern Kentucky, because southeastern Kentucky, you get in those valley areas, that's where we could get it. Ups and downs for the spring forecast. It's with us. It's not just this week, but next week. I just don't see a pattern change anytime soon. But once we hit midweek, 70s will be back in the forecast. So check this out. Did you know this? All of you wanting to plant those seeds and get the plants ready to go? On average, our last spring frost typically occurs on April 25th. So we have another month before, on average, we get our last spring frost. We have a long ways to go as we travel throughout the next month or so. Remember, it's typically after that spring meat time there for Keeneland. That's when they say, go ahead and plant that seed. But as of right now, I would not do it right now. Your 7-day forecast, the breakdown for it. We're at 50 degrees today, lower 50s, and then we head toward tomorrow, mid to upper 50s, which is right around average for this time of year. Then we hit Wednesday and Thursday. Those are your better feeling days. However, if you're looking for a better feeling and better looking all in one, then you're talking about Wednesday, and that's your best day in the forecast. Because then, guys, Wednesday night into Thursday, that's when some rain moves on in, showers and thunderstorms. Still leaning more toward no severe weather, but that's still something to watch. Typically, when it comes overnight and into the morning hours, you don't have a lot of energy with it.
And you'll tell us if we need to be worried about anything.
No doubt about it.
All right, I'm not going to worry then.
Yeah, Thursday looks like a pretty wet day.
Yeah, well, that'll make the grass grow, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, you bet.
Thank you, Micah. We're coming back on WKYT. A new coach in the West, and in the East, a Kentucky team plays for a title.
And back here in Lexington, another honor for Kentucky's big man on campus. Dave Baker's next with sports.
And let's check stocks as we head into afternoon trading. It's a mixed situation. The Dow's up some.
On your marks.
Get set.
Go.
There's a new superhero in town, the Flash.
I need your help.
National City needs the Flash.
Oh. Sorry.
Think you can keep up?
Oh, just you watch.
What's the plan?
Catch a bad girl. 85% chance of punching. For the record, I got here first.
I let you get here first.
The Flash comes to Supergirl tonight on CBS.
Hey there, neighbor. What are you working on? The View.
Uh-oh, better get Mako. For a limited time, Mako's lowest price paint service is on sale for only $2.99. Mako, America's Body Shop.
Do you want to lose weight quickly and safely? Do you want to be healthy for a lifetime? Kim did and lost 238 pounds at Ageless Medical Weight Loss. Betty did and lost 135 pounds. The Ageless program is a medically supervised, affordable weight loss solution. Call today for a free consultation.
More than 2.5 million Americans suffer brain injuries every year. It's a problem, not just sports-related, but car wreck head injuries and slip and falls are among the leading causes. Hughes & Coleman has represented thousands of victims devastated by brain injuries. Sadly, some people aren't even aware that they have them. If you notice any of these brain injury indicators, please consult a physician immediately. If you'd like to learn more, call 800-800-4600 or visit HughesandColeman.com.
If a denture were to be put under a microscope, we can see all the bacteria that still exists. Polident's unique MicroClean formula works in just 3 minutes, killing 99.99% of odor-causing bacteria for a cleaner, fresher, brighter denture every day.
Everybody in the pool! A new swimming pool in your backyard this summer means double the fun for your family. What better way to keep the kids entertained? Think you can't afford it? Then think again. The big 15 by 24 Econoline pool from Blue World Pools is only $3.99. Yes, $3.99, and that super low price includes pump, filter, liner, ladder, and a free automatic pool vacuum. That's right, all that fun, only $3.99. But that's not all. That price even includes installation on your ready site. What a deal! You may choose to step up to the next level with our midline pool or really turn your backyard into a summer party paradise with the classic pool from Blue World Pools. Our top-of-the-line classic is famous for its low maintenance and high-style beauty. Nothing brings the family together like a backyard pool. Those summer barbecues, the parties, or just hanging out and cooling off on yet another sweltering summer day. Beat that heat. Call Blue World Pools now and get your party started.
Do you have to get in a car accident for your insurance to matter? What if you could get help with more often? You can when you're a member and your insurance is AAA.
Stay connected to the news that matters to you, like WKYT on Facebook.
Kentucky's basketball tradition is unrivaled, and now Tyler Ulis is just one step away from rarefied air, even by UK standards, where he could become the 21st consensus All-American in Wildcat basketball history. Ulis this morning named to the National Association of Basketball Coaches All-America second team. He's now been named an All-American by the Sporting News, the U.S. Basketball Writers Association, and the NABC. The Associated Press, the fourth NCAA-recognized All-America team, has not yet been released, and that'll determine whether Ulis is a consensus All-American. He ended the season with 246 assists, setting the new single-season school record previously held by John Wall. Until the season's final game, he had a streak of 28 straight games with 4 more assists, the longest streak in school history since 72-73. Later this week, he'll be in Houston. He's one of the 4 finalists for the Naismith Trophy, awarded annually by the Atlanta Tip-Off Club to the nation's most outstanding player. Well, he's the new coach at Western Kentucky, but he's a familiar face to basketball fans here in the Commonwealth. Rick Stansbury, who won 293 games in 14 years at Mississippi State, will be introduced as the Toppers' new head man this afternoon. For the past 2 years, the Battletown, Kentucky native and Campbellsville grad has been Billy Kennedy's top assistant at Texas A&M, where he helped the Aggies get a top 10 recruiting class and get a share of this year's SEC regular season championship and make a run to the NCAA Sweet 16. Stansbury replaces Ray Harper, who resigned on March 17th. And one Kentucky team still playing basketball in this final week of March. It's Morehead State. The Eagles had hoped to be representing the OVC in the NCAA tournament, but guess what? They'll be playing in the CBI championship. It's a best 2 out of 3 that they begin tonight against Nevada for the CBI championship.
Timing's everything. Injuries kind of prevailed, kind of plagued us from actually winning our conference tournament. But our guys were so mad that once we got healthy and they found out that we could play again, it was like, we'll just, put all our marbles in this. And as you can see, the energy and effort that they're putting forward, in these games has been miraculous.
We didn't even know the CBI gave banners, and when we seen a banner up there, that just sparked us even more and motivated us even more to get one. And when we seen that, we was just like, oh, we have to get one. And then when we come back next year or 2 years from now, we could come back and see that we put a banner on there. That really means a lot.
Tonight on the Big Blue Insider with Dick Gabriel, recruiting analyst Chris Fisher of the Cat's Paws and 24/7 Sports. That's at 6 on 630 WLAP. Much more as the Eagles try to get that championship. Should be a good crowd on hand at Morehead tonight. That's coming up a bit later, guys. But for now, let's look at sports on this Monday.
All right. Great to have them still playing. Thank you, Buzz.
There's more to come in our next half hour of WKYT News at noon. The body of a man who disappeared in southern Kentucky earlier this month was found this weekend.
Police in Belgium are trying to figure out more about a suspected terrorist tied to the attacks in Brussels last week. We'll have the latest on the investigation in a report coming up next on WKYT News.
Tomorrow night's Mega Millions jackpot is $43 million, and Wednesday night's Powerball jackpot is $116 million.